Good evening, YouTube. This is Silent Citadel, and tonight we're going to work on a mask. I'm going to be using a slightly different technique tonight than I have. This is sort of an experiment. I'm not sure whether it will work or not, but let's find out. I've got a lot of this old clay. It's a modeling clay. You bake it so you can form this into whatever shape you'd like. And then you bake it in the oven and it hardens. I have a lot of sort of leftover bits and pieces. A lot of it's pretty old. But it doesn't really matter what color it is to me because I'm going to be painting this anyway. So I'm just going to start forming it on the face here. It's got a really nice, soft consistency. You can buy these baking clays. You can buy Sculpey or Fimo, or the two main ones, and I really prefer Sculpey because it's much softer to work with. Some people prefer Fimo because it can hold a pattern or a design a little better if you are to be making beads or something and you cut it. It won't smear, and Sculpey can smear a little bit, but I think it's really good for actually shaping. So I'm just gonna doing this really basic mask shape. I think I might leave the eyes. Now, the virtue of working with a baking clay rather than an air dry clay is that it'll be done a lot sooner. All I have to do is pop it into the oven for about 20 minutes. I don't know if it's going to crack or if there's going to be any problem with it separating from the buckram base that I have here, but I'm hoping that it works well. So far, I've been trying to use different techniques and not stick with one for all of the masks. The only consistent theme that I've used is the same basic face shape, the same mold for all of them. I feel like doing them in different styles or with different materials will add an interesting dimension when they're seen together. So Taurus and Aries are done with air dry clay. So is Virgo, but I painted her with oils instead of acrylic. and Pisces is done with bug wings, and Scorpio is paper mache with acrylic medium, and Leo is a cloth mache. And I'm hoping that this one will work and come out nicely, and then we can have one of an entirely new medium. Okay, so now I'm just smoothing my fingerprints out of the clay. Just some areas that are a little uneven. Just trying to take a little bit out of that. Leave some of it sort of natural, sort of organic looking, but smooth out some of the more pronounced areas of unevenness. If there are any dents or anything. I've also added some clay to the nose. This mannequin head's nose is very tiny and without feature, and I wanted to give it a little bit of, I don't know, a little more of a human look, I guess. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn the oven on. And then we'll pop her in there. Okay, so this mask just came out of the oven. It's still very hot. I have to be careful not to touch it too much because it is still very, very hot. So I'm just drawing this painting, this line right up the center of it. Everything on this side is going to be black. Just eyeballing it. It's not going to be perfect. I'm going to wait until it's all done and dried and cool to try and separate it from the bust. And really be the true test of whether this worked or not. If it cracks horribly when I remove it, hopefully it won't. So, as you can see, when I took it off, it cracked mercilessly. But I've super glued all these parts back on. They've fallen off. That's what all this sort of, let's see where these shiny bits are. That's where the super glue is. And I'm going to see if I can't make these cracks work for me. I think they might add an interesting feature. Some of the paint's chipped off, so I'm just going to go back in here, do this side again, and get in here in the crack areas. And then we'll move on to the other side. So I've got this beautiful silver paint. We're just going to go ahead and work on the other side with it. Might need a couple coats if it's a little thin, but I don't think so. Looks like it might be okay the way it is. Maybe, yeah, it's hard to say. I think it probably will need another coat, just to be on the safe side. Pretty thin. I'll wait until this dries and then do some more. So what I'm doing, these cracks, is painting them silver. And I'm going to paint the cracks on the other side black. I think that should look pretty interesting. I hope it'll work out well. We'll see soon enough, won't we? I just got this silver paint last week. And I'm pretty excited to have the chance to use it. It's my favorite brand, and I love silver. It's a wonderful, wonderful color. So to do this, just a tiny painting along the outlines of the cracks, I'm just using this little nail art brush, and it's been pretty beat up. It's definitely not in perfect condition, so I figure it's probably not really good for doing nail designs anymore. I might as well use it for something else. Sorry, I forget to breathe sometimes when I'm working on something like this. I hold my breath, just sort of mindlessly. That looks pretty cool. This is going to be pretty interesting. So, I finished with the other side and moved on to this one. Got some black here. I'm just highlighting the cracks a little bit with it. Kind of trying to feature them rather than hide them, which I think in this case would be a mistake. I'm not sure why, I'm just kind of going with my gut. That's how a lot of my art gets made. I'm just sort of listen to my instinct. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes it does. I'm leaving the inside of the cracks silver. I think that's Have a neat look right there. So this is just some varnish that I have. It's a Liquitex gloss varnish. It looks a little pink because it's been stained from paints. I know it looks a little whitish right now, but that will fade as it dries. And this will also help protect it, make it a little bit more flexible, less likely to break and crack anymore. I'll also be putting a coat on the underside and here. So this is Gemini. And Gemini is the twins. And I was thinking really hard about how to represent two facets, two aspects on one mask, and this was what I came up with. I ended up giving it a little bit of eyeliner, and I would pick it up and play with it, but it's not quite dry. Real close, but there's some areas where the varnish hasn't quite dried, and it's time to go to bed now. So I'm gonna leave it as is, and hope that you guys all like this. I think it came out pretty neat looking. It matches my nails. Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching. Have a beautiful evening. I'll see you all again soon.